G'day YouTube, my name's Lance, welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report, it's just been pissing down this morning. The temperature is 17 to 22 degrees C, so it's not cold at all. But yeah, I come out to the shed, it was around 6 AM, and it's just been pouring ever since. So that's why I'm up here. I'm up in Bundy Bear's box up the front here. Yeah, it's just been pelting down all morning. So I've shifted everything up to the front. I thought, well, I can't film up the back, just because of the noise. So I thought, well, I'll come up the front here and I'll do a bit of buggering around up in here. There's always stuff to do in here, like my taps and dies are just sitting in this drawer here, some of them, and look, I've been gonna clean it out and just run through them. I've got drawers set up here now with proper racking in it for the taps as they sit in the right place, but it's been like that for 6 months, so maybe I'll get to that today, who knows. But yeah, it's just nothing can happen up the shed just at the moment. I've got the injection pump on the Massey 65 ready to rock and roll. Now, for those who are on Bundy Bear's Shed on Instagram and Bundy Bear's Shed on Facebook, you'll see that I've popped out a few little videos on what I'm doing, and not videos, just pictures or posts really on what I've been doing up there. And in reading the Perkins manual and that, when doing an injection pump, where that circlet goes, the edge of the circlet lines up with the letter B on a 65 with a 203 engine in it, and you can actually set the timing up, piston height and all that, which we're going to do where we get bloody parts. And I thought I'd run through on how to check that. And so the injector tester I got from down south when I went down there and picked up all that Fergie stuff, I've got it hooked up and I've got it screwed into number 1 pipe, and a bit of pressure and turning it, and bang, I can lock it up. And on that pump there, it looks like it's been done up twice in its life. Now, the reason I know that is that on the flange, a lot of the diesel blokes, they put a little stamp in, so they know that they'd worked on it or something like that. There's a couple of them on it. Back when fuel was a problem and injector pumps were leaking, well, a lot of them got done up then as well. So yeah, it was a good thing. I've got that tested, and whoever set it up last time, they've got the circlet around 2mm out. So it was an interesting thing, because if you do your engine up, put your injection pump on and try and set it up to that circlet, you would be 2mm out in your timing, which, as in degrees, I don't know what that would be, but it'd be a few degrees out, so you wouldn't be getting the best out of your tractor, which is what it's all about. Starting to shower again. I thought I'd try and bang the stew out up here quickly while I wasn't showering, but anyway, it's showering again, so it doesn't matter. I've got the sand cancelling stuff all working, so I think I can drop most of it out. Yeah, it is picking it up just a little bit, so I'll just back that off. And so another interesting thing I did is I'm always thinking, not everyone's got some of the stuff I have, and a lot of shops don't have an injector tester, so I buggered around yesterday with it, and with an airline, I banged the airline up there at about 90 pound pressure and turned it round and bang it, and it works with air too. So that's an interesting thing, but I'll cover that in that video on the injection pump. Doesn't look like we'll be getting to film it today, the way things are going. So and I've got to make sure it's sunny, because you don't want to stop halfway and bug around, it gets disjointed. Those who follow on Instagram and Facebook, they'll see that on Saturday I was buggering around making a spanner, and that's the spanner that I've machined up. Now, there's going to be a separate video on this, and it's a spanner for on the end of the injection pumps on your CAV rotary pumps. There's where the little vanes go on your transfer pump, that nut comes off, and if if you ever have to replace a head on a pump or that gets damaged, having a little socket to fit it will work. And I've been playing with this too, just because I could. And an interesting thing is that if you tighten tighten that rotor up too much, it tightens your pump up too much. You can actually change what it takes to turn, because I played with this, I loosened it off, tightened it up. It's a left-hand thread, did it a few times. Actually, my pump's hard to turn. I thought, what the bloody hell's going on there? And I went to sit one of the vanes in just to check, and the vane was tight. And I thought, oh, okay. So I just backed this off just to flush it, and everything's nice and free and that again. So that is important, which I didn't realise until I did that. Now, there's probably a torque setting for it. I'm just going to nip it up till it works with a dab of Loctite on it, and that will be fine. But there is, like I say, there is a separate video on making this spanner, just a machining video. It's just something I've thought about doing for ages, and with some of the weather we've been having, I thought, well, I'll stay in the shed and do a bit of machining. The liner pullers. I think I have footage of machining the back out of the liner pullers to take the thrust bearing. So that's the thrust off it's a little bit firm, that one, but that's the thrust off a kingpin on a TE20. So that sits through there now, and that gives us a good friction-free, very little friction anyway, a friction-free surface to take the thrust of using the puller. So I've only got the two made. I did look at making up some other discs, but I don't know what I need yet, so I'll just leave them be. I think I'll wait until I need one, then pop up here and do it. Another thing over the weekend I got up to was making these governor rods. Now, these governor rods, they go where the long lever goes right up to the front, and you've got your little U-shaped lever with the spring that hooks onto your thermostat housing. When these wear up the top there, they drop out over time, so there's a bit of a need for those. So I did a bit of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did a bit of a run on those, and they'll be at Queensland Tractor Spares. I've had them, a couple of them done for ages, and I just haven't got round to putting it on the site, but it will be there. The only difference, this little ball here, this little ball socket, it's a 6mm one, it's a metric one. Now, originally they were UNC or UNF, they're Imperial anyway, for sure. And in Australia, to buy the Imperial ball joints, that's you can get the spherical balls with the, you can put a bolt right through, and bolt the nut and nip it up and do that. But I wanted to do them like this to keep them standard. But the thing with this is the hole that goes through the little U piece is 1/4 inch, which is 6.3mm. This thread here is 6mm, so you're 0.3 of a millimetre small. I've tried these. I've given them away, just as a couple of people to test them. But they work great. Everyone loves them. I actually make them out of a zinc bolt. I buy 1/4 inch zinc bolts, and the reason I make them out of a zinc bolt is that they stay looking good. They don't rust on you. We do have to, each one has to be set up in the lathe in a collet. A metric thread run down this end, and on this end here we have to extend the 1/4 UNC thread a bit further. But for people that haven't got that capability, they'll be on the website. Now look, like I say, they're only a bolt. Like I go to the bolt place, I buy a CAD bolt, I part the head off it, I put a metric thread one end, Imperial thread the other, and this ball is an S50851 Sparex ball. So it's an M6 by 1 right hand thread. So that'll be a good thing. These are locked, the ball joint is Loctited onto the bolt with retaining compound. These old ones, the Rigididge ones, you could not get them out. They were sort of crimped on, I think. They look like they're screwed on, but they seem to be crimped on more. So that's what we've chosen to do. We'll put a little note in the description that that it's 6mm, not quarter. So sometimes we get people will sell a part and people ring up and they've had the verniers and that, and oh, you're 3 thou under here or 2 there, and they whinge and kick up. So we just try and put everything in descriptions when we know. So just how it goes. My mate Chris, back ages ago, my mate Chris, he was down at Woodgate and he had to shift house, and he offered me a carry-all, you know, just old things, you know, a couple of old carry-alls and a old toolbar sort of thing. And while I was there, he said, oh, there's an old post hole digger there with a rooted gearbox, you want to chuck that on too? And I said, oh, alright then, chuck it on. So just, we're sort of helping him out and getting it out of his way. And anyway, we wandered around having a look in the paddock the other day, and yeah, women always say, what's that there? And I said, oh, that was what Chris gave me. I said, got a bucket gearbox. And she said, well, what's the good of a post hole digger with a bucket gearbox? And I said, well, I might be able to fix it. I'm a bit handy. And so, anyway, yesterday, and I think yesterday it was sunny for a while, and I tried to dig a hole for my shed. And I think that's what brought the rain in today, blame me. And anyway, I was buggering around, and I'd been up the shed machining quite a bit lately, and I thought, well, it would be handy to have this post hole digger going if it was any good at all. So I thought, well, I'll just take the gearbox off it, you know, the gearbox and the drive shaft off and all that, and I'll get it into the shed and I'll see if it's worth resurrecting or it's not, or what the story is. So that's what I did yesterday and this morning. And look, I think I can get it going again. Now, what happens with these old things, they get moisture and get water in them and things like that, and it had a heap of water in it, and that's just how it goes. But I stripped it down, and I've got a couple of seals here I'm going to replace. The bearings, look, the bearings had been put in one time, but from sitting with moisture they'd rusted on some of the cups, so I welded all the cups and pulled them out and got that bit sorted. Well, I've got to order these yet. I haven't done that as yet. And so I've got to buy 4 cups, 4 cones, and the main shaft coming out, which is this fella, someone had been in there at some stage. It wouldn't have been Chris, but someone. And what they'd done is they'd put a little key in the gear, and the gear is actually, just hang on a second, it's just over here, I'll show you. So that's the main gear. It's a bit of an old rusty gear, but that's alright. I can work with that. And yeah, you can see the rust in that from, well, you can't actually in this light, but anyway. But you can see that this is so long, which would be 2 inches probably, and the key that was in it and sheared off, the key had actually sheared off on the shaft. The key was sheared off, and it was probably only, wouldn't have been an inch long, I don't think. And so I presume that with not having the full the full key, well, of course it probably wasn't all that hard to shear it off. Then whoever was in there before, they had an internal circlip on the external groove here, and but yeah, all in all, the gears are a bit rusty, but for a post hole digger they'll be fine. Now, you couldn't see that before when I was trying to show you, so I don't suppose I'll see you then. And I've got to pull the bearings off the pinion. Now, I don't know if you can see the rust on that on the pinion either. It's not worn particularly. It's just a bit of rust in that. So I'm going to give it a rat and try and get this old girl going again. Just to do it, and it would be handy. So I've got this shaft up here, and from sitting in the water, God, that shit light at the moment. from sitting at, there's a heap of pits there, like there's no way I can get a seal to seal on that shaft at all. It's just too far gone. So I thought about, I thought, oh well, I can probably see there's a shoulder here for a bearing. Yeah, there's a bearing there. There's a bearing at that end. There's a shoulder at this end. The gear goes about there, and then there's a spacer, and then the bearing. And so I thought, well, I could always machine this seal surface down a little bit and you know, put a little collar on the top, but I sort of don't like doing that when I've got a bearing sitting up against the shoulder there. So on this shoulder there, like I'd have to machine that down all the way. And look, you could do it without a doubt, but it's got a couple of keyways in it. It had 2 keyways, and I don't know whether they put 2 in just in case you bugger one up, but yeah, one of them's sloppy, where the little gear's been slopping around because it hadn't had the full long key. So what I've decided to do to get it going again, I've got to remake that shaft. Look, it's something I can do. Yeah, it'll just be and it's a bit of machining. I've been enjoying coming up here machining, and the feedback I'm getting from the stews is everyone likes it when there's a bit of machining and things like that. So whether it's just a part 1 of the stew or part 1 and 2 or something, who knows. So I'm going to make the new shaft for the gearbox. That'll test me, and the gears where they've got a bit of rust and that on them, I'm going to sandblast that all off, and I'll bead blast it off, and that'll be fine. So I'm going to tidy the gears up, put new bearings, new seals, make a new shaft, and see if I can turn pig shit into ice cream. Yeah. So we'll see how we go. The top of the box where the pin goes to pivot, it's been broken away a little bit. Now, I had a look at that this morning, and I was wondering whether I could put another plate there or something, but look, it looks dicky, but it works. So we won't, I'll get the rest done first and just see. So yeah, I'll be doing a bit more machining, buggering around today, and see what happens. I finished the video yesterday on the 23C engines, where the head studs come down through in 2 places. There's a little tin tube that goes through there, and they can be a problem. And I was talking to Kev from Norfolk Vintage Tractors, Kev's Vintage Tractors, and yeah, he said sometimes he's had head studs that get rusty down there, and it could just be these broken through. So I've done the video on that. I machined up some nice stainless ones on mine to pop through just for the video. I don't know what I'm going to do with the head, but I still have another 3 tractors with that engine in it, so it'll probably end up on one of them, no doubt. And look, it's a good fix. Jonathan Hare had trouble with one of his that he did up, and kept getting little beads of coolant. So, and it was just, I've just done the video to show everyone how it works. So that's coming up. The 65, bloody Sparex is still not going, and we just finished a complete month, and look, we had a lot of Sparex stuff in stock, but we're still $30,000 down on our sales of Sparex stuff because we just can't get stuff at the moment. So it's affecting everyone. Yeah, it bites in hard when your turnover drops by $30,000 straight up, just for that. So I rang and left a message for him to give me a yarn on Friday, but nothing happened. I didn't get a call back, and so yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's dragging on a little bit. It's been 4 or 5 weeks now. If you go to the Sparex link in my website, it's just dead. There's just nothing there. So with the 65, I was waiting on cam followers. They were bringing those in from overseas, but I can't even contact them at the moment to sort anything out there. I do have a set of conrods coming from another supplier. I'm hoping they turn up, and if the conrods turn up, well then I can bang a couple of slugs in. And I want to show you with the timing and how far down the piston can be to get your injection pump right and all that. And the only reason is that I've got the Genuine Perkins book and I'm running with that instead of a Fergie manual, and it tells you other little things about if the piston's down 17 thou in the direction of rotation and you're lining up that so many degrees, and I just find that interesting, so I'm hoping you do too. So yeah, so the 65, apart from making the spanner for the injection pump and doing the injector pump, I was going to pull the injectors apart and order nozzles through Sparex. Can't do it, so I'll probably pull them apart and buy them off diesel distributors or someone like that, I'd say. So yeah, it's put a big spanner in the works for us. The videos are slowed up, but luckily I was so behind in everything else. I've had time to make little spanners and things like that. This will go in on the injector tester I bought off I'll build down south there. This will go in and stay in with the injector tester. There's a lot of little tools and knick-knacks he had tucked away in there, and so this little spanner will stay in there. I wasn't going to do a Tommy bar on it. I was just going to use a a big Phillips screwdriver and fling him round. But then I thought, oh, I'll just do a bloody bar, and then you've always got the right thing. And then I thought about drilling down in here and putting a spring and a thread and a ball, and having it so you can hold it in place or lock it here and there. But it'll just be a bloody nuisance. In the little drawer it goes, and if you can sit that there and that next to it, that's fine. But if by the time you start sitting things across with big bars like that, it's a bloody nuisance. So anyway, look, that's about it. This morning's job, and I'll set the camera up and I'll film a bit, I hope. But I do have a little bit of machining, so whether you get the machining of this shaft this week or next week, I don't know. But we'll see. But look, have a great week, everybody. Hopefully Sparex is back on track shortly and I can get back on track with the 65 restoration. I still have things to do, but I'm doing little side jobs and that, which, look, need to be done anyway. But I'm looking forward to getting that engine assembled, and there's a few things I'd like to show. I'd like to video for people that I'd like to do. So anyway, look, that's it for this week. Thanks for dropping by. Kev's Vintage Tractors on YouTube. He said a few of my followers went over, had a look over there, and he's got a few more subs out of it. Keep going over there. All us old tractor blokes have got to stick together. Waterhouse Ford, Gordon doing his TEA 20. He's got a few videos out. He's worth a look. And how's about Squatch 253? I watch him on his little cat dozer. So how about if you've got a favourite YouTube channel that has tractor, Canadian Redneck Dave. Go and watch Canadian Redneck Dave. He's a farm all man. He's just been doing a Super A engine. And but look, go and watch these blokes. But if you have a channel that I don't know about, how about leave it in a comment for us and let's share it all about. And yeah, look, I sit watching all sorts of stuff on YouTube, and when Judy's there watching YouTube with me, we watch travel and four-wheel driving and fishing and all that sort of thing shows. And when Jude's not there with me, I'm watching Double Boost and bloody Squatch and all that that sort of stuff, because she's not all that. She sees that many tractors in her working life. She comes home over a weekend or an evening and she had enough of tractors. And so, but anyway, look, back on track. If you have a favourite tractor restoration channel that's your favourite, leave it in the comments please, and I'll have a look through them and see if there's new ones we don't know about, and I'll give them a bit of a shout out next week, and just so we can all watch them. Yeah, it's not a competition, this stuff, it's just everyone working together having a good time. Well, look, I've rambled on enough. Thanks for dropping by, everyone. We'll catch you next week. Try and stay safe, and yeah, I might get this lathe making a bit of noise.